Hello, welcome to Staillo Gaming. My current obsession right now is Subliminal. It just came out a couple weeks ago. And honestly, what intrigues me the most is the intense internet hate that it got. Like, oh my god. As an aspiring indie game developer, that's horrifying to me. But props to the devs for not crawling into a hole and crying their eyes out. Especially when Queso said he'd rather eat human feces than play Chapter 2.
I usually don't cook game developers, but this was actually, I would rather eat human feces. I will not be playing part 2. Don't even bother playing a part 2.
So all the talking points are going to be in the timestamps of the video, but I'm going to bring up the storyline, all 4 enemies, and all 4 endings first, because I'm just trying to ramble to my friends and force them to watch this video so that they know what I'm hyper fixated on this month. Before we continue, please do not send any hate to Accidental Studios or anyone involved with Subliminal. I had my fair share of playing the game, although with some frustrations, and I had so much fun creating this video and yapping your ear off. At the end of the day, we're all hurling through space. What a thought. And I'm looking down because I wrote everything on my iPad. But yeah, I have about like 12 hours in the game. Oopsies. To give a quick recap, the characters of the game are Caleb and Lily and the narrator, but we'll get to him in the enemies portion of the video. You play as a dude named Caleb and you're going through his childhood memories, childhood trauma, and the trauma is basically, you kind of have to piece it together, but something happened to your sister Lily, which we don't know what yet, but for Lily, all of her colors are red. Like, there's just so many things that correspond to Lily in red. Like, the magnet letters are red that spell out Lily, her scarf is red, the balloon on her birthday cake is red, and then I believe everything blue represents Caleb. So yeah, that's the point of the game. You're just going through his childhood trauma, childhood memories. And then moving on to enemies. In the Subliminal wiki, I only see 2 enemies listed, but I honestly believe there's 4 enemies in the game, and I'll tell you right now. So of course, the narrator. The narrator says that he's your subconscious.
I am you, or rather, a particularly articulate aspect of you. I am your conscious, and this vast void of nothingness that we're currently floating in is your mind.
I don't believe that. We'll get to my theories later. So because I don't trust and believe him, he's public enemy number 1. Okay, and then the obvious enemy number 2 is a monster named Smile. But yeah, Smile is the monster that just chases you the whole time. It's the only monster that attacks you and eats you and that you run away from throughout the entire game. So public enemy number 2. The third enemy, I think, is there's another Smile, but in one of Mr. Dominari's series of Subliminal, I saw someone comment that the second Smile enemy is named Mime. I couldn't find anything about that online. But yes, I came to this conclusion because there is a puzzle before you enter Play Place, and when you try to open the doors, there's like 2 circle windows. And the windows are reflecting the posters on the wall. So on the right side is Smile, the left side is Mime. This is literally in real time the clip where I was like piecing it all together. Smile just looks crazed and Mime looks calm. Mime also flips a switch for you that Charlie called Nosferatu.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The PCP's hitting. Oh. Thanks, Nosferatu.
And Queso called, fuck, what's his name?
Who was that? What was that, the prototype? Who was that?
So fucking funny. So that's why I think there's one crazy Smile, and then Mime is the one that is helping you just chill, vibing. As I was playing the game updated, I believe once, maybe twice, I don't remember. But in one of the updates, when you solve the door puzzle, the Smile poster is gone while the Mime poster is still up. Which makes me think that right before you enter Play Place, the Smile poster like literally manifested itself into the room, and that's why you get chased in the Play Place. And then the 4th enemy, I believe, is Walter. So yeah, I guess I really am saying any character you encounter in Subliminal is an enemy, but I'm just a huge conspiracist and I'll believe anything and everything. So that is why I think Walter is public enemy number 4. And then also there was just like a section in the bounce house where there was writing on the wall that said C and L, but L for Lily was crossed out and there was a W for Walter, and then just Walter's smile is everywhere, like throughout the game. And then like the cables, like the lockers, everything is just saying, yeah, don't forget to smile. He is watching. You know, now that I think of it, we could probably be playing as Lily. I have never seen a man being told to smile so often. I know that's diabolical. We're gonna get to endings now. I'm like speedrunning through this because I don't think my friends have a high attention span. Jingle jangle, backrooms, I said your favorite word. There are 4 different endings in Subliminal Chapter 1. Unless there's a surprise 5th one, I have no idea. So we're gonna start with the erase ending. It's basically when you go around the entire map and just pull the erase lever. What does it erase? I have no idea. For some maps, it literally does erase everything that's around, like every object that's around the player. And then it hurts the narrator for some reason. I guess you could say because he's like your subconscious, so like when you're like erasing, maybe it's like trying to erase him too. But there are so many times with the narrator, like when you like go the wrong way that the narrator doesn't want you to go to, like pulls your character back and like puts some barricades on. It's like, why can't the narrator stop me from erasing? That I don't get. So for the erase ending, once you pull the final erase lever, you go into like this staircase. Oh shit. Okay, I just looked it up, but when I searched up if there was a level 988 backrooms level, there is. Mental health warning. It says level 988 has a slight theme of depression. Oh, okay, that explains that ending a lot darker than I thought. I really do think we're playing as Caleb because the storage units start at 2005, which Caleb was born in 2006, and you know this from the first level. There are 2 binders. Of course, the red one is Lily's. And what I don't understand is why 2016 doesn't appear, which you could say, okay, could be the year something happened to Lily, which would make Lily 5 years old. Yes, I had to do the math. Bro, even with this math, I'm probably wrong. But somewhere throughout the game, when you play an arcade level, Lily's high score is 2018, which could mean something happened to her in 2018 instead of 2016. So yeah, that I don't really understand. And so then as we keep walking, the storage units end at 2025, which would make Caleb 18 years old, 17, 18. Yeah, so then you're in a room full of surveillances, like the narrator has been surveillancing you. The narrator doesn't even know how you got into that room, which makes me think it's a clinic that Caleb is in. That room, that surveillance room looks really cool. I really liked it. But yeah, now that I know if you erase everything, why is there a 988 sign in the staircase? I would like to believe, if the theory is that Caleb is in a clinic, that he just ended the trial.
We have so much to do. So many memories waiting to wander off in. Just wait. No, not everything. Please, Caleb, this isn't what I meant. I can find another way. I can. Please, no.
The next ending is called Memory Lane. For this ending, it includes arcade machines. Some of them say waterlogged, too late, it's your fault again, which is why a lot of people think that Lily drowned. And honestly, after looking at this poster in the waterworks map, it's essentially saying that a child can take care of another child throughout the water park. And then also there's this fire hydrant that says, Caleb, she's drowning. So yeah, pretty dark shit. This is an arcade machine called Memory Lane, and I really like the art for it. It's Caleb hugging Walter. And in this arcade game, you basically play as Caleb and Walter, and you just have to beat Lily's high score, which is 2018, which could possibly be the year that this incident happened to Lily. There's also another score of Lily's, that's 1337. Not sure the significance of that. At first I was thinking that it was the time that whatever happened to Lily, but throughout the game there's that clock with the eyes. That time is saying 3:40, so I'm not sure which time it really is. I got distracted and forgot to talk about the actual ending, but you feed the tickets you won from playing Memory Lane into this munching machine once you beat Lily's high score. And then you enter an arcade room where I'm assuming is one of your fondest memories with Lily, which is why I think it's a good ending, or at least a better ending than the other endings we've encountered. And yes, I'm carrying the Smile plushie for support because I wasn't sure what I was going to encounter. This next ending is called Into the Pit. I don't know what to make of it, but I think it's a bad ending. I think it's Caleb succumbing also to his trauma. Just because you have to crawl through a wall of sludge, and throughout the game the sludge basically means your trauma. But yeah, you go into this red room, it looks pretty cool. There's furniture and things being lugged around, which makes me think that Caleb is in EMDR therapy and that his consciousness or the narrator is his therapy guide. Because there are different points of the game where the narrator says that there's a room that's not finished yet, which makes me think that all this furniture being lugged around is the narrator recreating Caleb's childhood memories to make him feel better about Lily. And then yeah, you just get this little chase scene. And then you just get whacked in the head. The monster doesn't even grab you. So not sure what that ending is about. And then the last ending is called the Rotten ending. Out of all the endings, I think this one is closest to the Backrooms lore, just because it does involve a VHS tape. But yeah, I really love the atmosphere for this one. But for this ending, it looks like you spawn into your childhood living room. The graphics are insane. And I love how in the TV it shows the ending name. While I was playing this ending, it took so long to figure out what I was supposed to do. That was a jump scare of a lifetime. It introduces the same puzzle you played in the first level where you have to close the doors as they're opened. But I couldn't beat this ending, other than it was just hard and I'm an epic pro gamer. Once I died, the light switches I was supposed to turn on to get the monster to go away, it wasn't working. And it was frustrating because the only way I would get it to work is if I exited out of the game and opened it back up. And then I had to do the whole vents montage again to get to this living room. But I submitted the bug to the Accidental Studios Discord and they got back to me pretty quick, so that was really cool. I'm going to use Karuta Klein's stream for this ending since I couldn't get it. I hope he doesn't mind. Hi Karuta if you're watching. But you come across a VHS tape that says do not play, which I'm not sure if that's the VHS tape you hear throughout the game, like when you eject the game and start it up and things like that. I'm not sure what this has to do with Caleb, but I think it's the closest to a Backrooms ending out of the other endings. For when the door turns black, I'm not sure if that's something running across. That's horrifying, but I really love how close the door gets because it reminds me of Coraline. And then we see this random man. I'm not sure if that's Sven, the creator of the game, or one of the devs. or shit, even Caleb himself. We see a flower, and then they also dox themselves out in the forest. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Not sure what to make of it or why the ending is even called Ronin. So we're gonna speedrun through the theories I had while playing the game. I brought this one earlier. I said that the narrator is a therapist making Caleb forget about Lily, just based on all the EMDR acronyms throughout the game, which EMDR alleviates distress from traumatic memories, and it helps rewire how memories are stored. Next theory is that the narrator is Walter. And if the I know that sounds insane, far-fetched, whatever. If the narrator is not Walter, then I think the narrator could perhaps place Caleb's memories of Lily with a balloon instead of his sister Lily. Yeah, that sounds insane too, but I'm just spitballing because that'd be pretty cool if one of my theories came out to be true. But yeah, I think this just because throughout the game you see white paint buckets trying to cover up the black sludge on the walls and things like that. This next theory, more of an observation, is Lily and the second smile is trying to get Caleb to remember something. You just see paper notes of the word remember throughout the game. And I wonder if it's like remember like what caused the trauma, remember what, remember Lily, and don't forget about Lily maybe. Another theory observation, you see the word smile everywhere throughout the game, and telling someone to smile is sadly the norm in like girls and women growing up. So that's what made me think that you were playing as Lily as first, possibly. Another observation for that is in Waterworks. I don't know if it's like when I pull the erase lever, it changes Caleb's weight. Another theory observation, I don't know what you want to call these at this point, is Walter's trying to take over Lily just from all the little subliminal things you see throughout the game. Oh, that's the name of the game, right? Subliminal, yeah, not superliminal, subliminal. If it's true that Lily drowned in Waterworks, I don't understand why there's bloodstains on the arcade machines. So a theory of mine would be maybe she didn't die in Waterworks, but that she almost died maybe, and that could have scarred Caleb. But the next theory observation I have is, I don't know if the game is just trying to keep the Backrooms theme going, but when you pause the game, it'll say eject, and then when you start up the game, you hear as if someone is placing a VHS tape. And then when you zoom in throughout the game, you do hear a camera zoom in sound. So it's like, are we the narrator? Holy shit, I just thought of that right now while recording, just talking out of my ass. Holy shit. And we're looking at Caleb's memories through a VHS tape. Or we're playing as the narrator in Caleb's memories. I don't know. Just fun to talk about. It's easy to go with the mob mentality of, yeah, this game sucks. But as I was just talking my friend's ears off about all these theories, like I realized there's just so much to talk about with this game. Like it could have just been trash and no one would have anything to talk about. So the more I talked about it, the more fun I'm having. Alright, let's get into it. The first annoying thing I found with this game was everything you know in the beginning of the game, like Caleb, your trauma, Lily, is the same thing you know at the end of the game. And like I want to say it gave me nothing because it really did. Like you would think it'd give me more storyline, but it did give me theories. But then that leads us into the puzzles of the game. Is like the game would have us do all these puzzles, the light puzzles, the lock puzzles, this odd interesting Walter puzzle. It didn't really add anything to the storyline. It really did feel like busy work. And yes, at the end of the day it is a game, so like you are expected to do puzzles and solve things and figure things out. But I personally would have loved it if the puzzles gave us insight to what happened to Lily. And let's say not even insight to like the main point of the story, but like give me something to connect Caleb to. Because last time I checked, I'm not a teenage boy. So I couldn't relate to Caleb that way. I do have siblings. I do have a consciousness. But that's the only thing I can, like, if you can even relate, I'm just grasping at straws at this point. So, yeah, the puzzles gave us nothing. Go, Kylie, go. But hopefully they change that for the next chapter. The next pet peeve I have of this game also has to do with the puzzles, is that there were just so many light puzzles. Oh, and a light puzzle, and a light puzzle, and a light puzzle, and then I forget the light puzzle. Oh, this is so cool. They also had another light puzzle. I'm going crazy. Lights! And they sprinkled some locks here and there. So I haven't played Poppy Playtime, but I do see the resemblance of Poppy Playtime, which I was watching Mr. Dominari's Subliminal videos. He showed how in Subliminal's older post, it foreshadowed Poppy Playtime, X Backrooms kind of game. And if you're not in the know, nobody really liked Chapter 5 Poppy Playtime. Even Markiplier ranted about that. Holy shit, I saw that one. I wouldn't have minded the light puzzles if it gave us more storyline and more insight about the characters. Yeah, I could just go on and on about lights, but it's pretty much it. I'm just gonna be repeating the same things. The next annoying thing was the infamous shoe puzzle. I was sadly a victim of that too. Nobody liked that. Nobody. On my TikTok, socials, everywhere. Nobody liked it. That's another thing people didn't like, was the lack of direction for each puzzle. I think in the original version of the game, the hallways before you get into the puzzle room are numbered with colors, so then when you look at the shoe rack, you put the numbers in order, except that doesn't work for the lock combination. But then once my game updated, there was no more numbers in the hallway. Oh, I think it's because they put it on the lock instead. Interesting. And then I thought you had to collect all the left shoes and all the right shoes and then see which shoe was missing. That was horrendous. And yeah, you were basically supposed to just double that number. Sounds simple enough. Since there's 2 shoe racks. Either there's 2 shoe racks and you add them up, or there's a pair of shoes in each hole, so you have to add that up too. And then I just remember when I put the code in, that was when I was done with the game, was that puzzle. The next annoying thing I have is that the game gets less scary the more you get captured by Smile throughout the chase scenes, which really does take off the immersion of the game. And because at the time the chase scenes were pretty difficult, so you had to do it over and over and over and over and over again. And at that point I was just getting frustrated with the game and with Smile and with myself. With the updates, they have fixed and changed it, which is nice. But I think a lot of people online were more pissed at it just because it ended up being like a mascot horror game. Which mascot games, just like with anything, what if you make it right, it's really good. For example, Indigo Park. But yeah, I think, especially with myself, I didn't know it was going to be a mascot horror when they were talking about Subliminal. I thought it was just going to be a backrooms walking simulator or something, I don't fucking know. And then to end the video off with a better note, I'm going to talk about the things that I loved about this game. So of course the obvious is the visuals. Holy shit, the visuals, like, it's so detailed. Like, just the main room alone makes me feel like I was in my childhood bedroom with my toys sprawled everywhere, carpets, that back room's car neighborhood rug. Oh, I love it so much. The next thing I love is the sounds. Oh my god. It's ASMR to my motherfucking ears. It's like these, it's so crunchy. It's like, I just want to eat it. Of the sounds of this game, so good, so well made. The next thing I really love about this game is the superliminal references. These sodas are like an ode or a replica of Superliminal's sodas, which I fucking love. So cool that they added that into the game. I don't know if Superliminal and Subliminal have like a partnership going, just because there's so many things in common, like the name, for example. And then the other cool thing is, of course, the narrator. I believe his name is Max. I don't know his last name. But yes, the GOAT of voice acting. And then the last thing I love about this game is the devs are updating the game. Because I would personally crawl into a hole and never come out, never be on the internet again if my game got so much hate. Like, of course, it's bound to happen. I do see video games as an art form, and people love to criticize art. Everyone has different art tastes. So yeah, it's so cool seeing the devs take our feedback and make changes on that instead of just taking our money and not doing anything about it. To me, that really shows that they care, that they really are like passionate, and they're so talented too. Holy shit. Alright, but that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for sticking around. Alright, so I'm gonna give my rating for the game. I want to give it, and I'm not even joking, I want to give it a low 6, high 7. So I think it's a 6, 7 out of 10. Would I play chapter 2? Yes. Sue me. I would love to stream Subliminal chapter 2. I think that'll be really fun, and I really do want to see if my theories and the internet's theories are correct and see where they do take this game. Thank you so much for watching and for getting this far. Holy shit, I'm gonna force my friends to watch this whole thing, which is why I'm even making this video in the first place. Oh, I could not call all of them and just say this whole thing over and over and over again. There is still so much we didn't cover, but let me know your thoughts, theories, questions, comments, concerns. I can talk and read about Subliminal chapter 1 all day long until the second chapter comes out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!